recently there's a new theory of a dark energy flow, just to go with the dark matter. So I will, I mean, later on, if you want me to, I will tell you why these ridiculous ideas come out. You know, the Big Bang Theory, I will not yet, I shall take it for granted that people accept it. But Big Bang Theory is so ridiculous that it is not different from New Age hot air fantasies. If you believe in Big Bang, you can believe in anything. And I don't know why Big Bangers then mock at the New Ageists, because they are not very far from it, you see. So, you see, I think scientists get so bored with their limited, blinkered view of things that they end up somehow lightening their burden through some kind of their own kind of poetry, let's say mathematical poetry. I mean, Big Bang Theory is really poetry. It has nothing to do with science. In other words, I object to it because it is not scientific enough. It is based, very quickly, to show you why I think it's nonsense, because it is based on the first discovery with the Hubble telescope, yeah, that the universe is expanding. So suddenly all the scientists agreed that the universe is expanding. Only nowadays, so if it is expanding, the universe, then it means at one point in the beginning, it was just a pinpoint. And therefore, it exploded and started expanding. It is only nowadays emerging that, in fact, there are pockets in the universe which are contracting and not expanding. So the whole theory of the Hubble telescope and so on, you know, and let alone the fact that even this idea of, we think that if you take telescope pictures, you know, through the space, that's closer to reality than the interference of air, etc., you know, from the Earth's atmosphere. But for God's sake, even the transmissions, you know, are still coming through the atmosphere of the Earth. So in other words, to think that having a telescope in the space gives you a closer, truer picture is complete nonsense. Our great problem is the atmosphere. We don't know all the problems of the atmosphere. I'm not even sure that the space is, I don't know, that the space is as vast as it appears to be, because light is the great deceiver of everything. We don't know yet what the atmosphere of the Earth, in terms of its light, transmits from the evidence of the sky and the astronomers. Therefore, all these theories based on such observations, so said scientific observations, are in fact very vulnerable and very poetic rather than scientific. So, in other words, I am challenging science in terms of the scientific facts. And the scientific fact is that the Big Bang Theory is based on sheer hot air poetry. And I'm sorry everybody believes it. But soon, I hope, this will be the first day when eventually scientists will understand that it is just a new age poetic nonsense. So, therefore, going back to my scientific discoveries and so on, probably, you know, it is sometimes good to, before tackling serious things, it is probably sometimes good to have a bit of fun with ideas. I have a very dear sort of lady friend, Portuguese, who believes in reincarnation and so on, and has an idea of some ideas of this. And she was asking me, what are you then? Are you the reincarnation of Newton, Einstein, or whatever. I said, I don't know, because I don't believe in reincarnation. She said, well, you must be the reincarnation of all of them. I then said, my safer bet would be my birthday, because I was born on April the 15th, which is Leonardo da Vinci's birthday. So I said, I'd rather be the reincarnation of da Vinci. Anyway, so I don't believe in reincarnation. I'm saying it as a joke, just to show you how these things work. So, now, what is then, therefore, my own questions? Okay, and here is the very first, which is so crucial, so basic. I cannot understand that scientists have not tackled this problem, and the reason is because I think they simply don't know it. That's why. So, here's very simple. What is the first piece of land that appears in the oceans of the water? I mean, in the water of the oceans. So, I mean, here is the massive first question. You know, I don't know what we're taking the earth for granted, and yet there is a fact here. 90% of the earth is water. What was the very, very first piece of land which appeared in the oceans? Now, this is such a huge, crucial, vast, important scientific question. I'm not sorry to say, although I'm trying to say, I'm sorry to say, that unless you understand this, you understand nothing. I think the beginning of all knowledge is in this question. You see, Descartes, what people consider the father of modern philosophy, Descartes was precisely obsessed with what he called certain knowledge. He wanted to know what knowledge can he acquire, which is 100% certain and sure. He therefore doubted all knowledge. He doubted even the acquisition of knowledge, his own procedures, philosophical methods of acquiring knowledge. He wanted to doubt everything, to finally come to the conclusion that because he is a thinking person, which he could not doubt, therefore he thought that's the beginning of knowledge. That, you know, you cannot doubt he exists, he cannot doubt he exists, because he is a thinking person. He could not doubt the fact that he thought. So what I'm saying here then is this, that for him, that was the question which he answered, which I'm trying to show you is not adequate for me. So he, Descartes, said the beginning of all knowledge is to know that you exist as a thinking person, rationalism and so on. So for me, therefore, the beginning of all knowledge is to discover what is the first piece of land which arose from the oceans, and unless we discover that, we cannot have certain knowledge. All knowledge derives from understanding that scientific fact, and that also will resolve the problem of man arising. Therefore, my second big question, the secret which I shall reveal, is, first of all, I will reveal that secret of the first question. The second question is, of course, as you can see, there is a scientific, reasonable, logical succession, which is that if we know what piece of land, then the next question is, before I tell you the second question, let's observe also that none of modern scientific theories answers this question of what is the first piece of land which appears in the oceans. Newton's theory doesn't touch on it, or cannot even explain it, the gravitational theory. then you have